Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your host, MA of the Heat Blogspot, finally bringing you another episode. And it's been a week since the last time I saw you guys, and the Miami Heat are on a 4-game winning streak. Very good teams to beat: the Lakers, the Thunder, and but it wasn't the greatest team. But we took care of business, and now we're back. And now I ask myself the question: do the Heat still need a trade? I'll let you guys know. We'll see. It's been good so far. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I appreciate it. As always, I appreciate all the love, the comments. You guys are talking a lot and creating conversations. I love this. You guys are very invested Heat fans, as I can see. Everyone's getting more excited as we get closer to All-Star break. And it's been fantastic to see this channel grow little by little. It's not tremendous or anything like that, but it's awesome to watch it grow. So thank you guys. It's all because of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Anyways, so speaking of All-Stars, the Heat did not get an All-Star this year. Neither Bam nor Jimmy Butler was named a reserve for the All-Star game. And for me personally, I think that's fantastic. I think this is an ingredient for the culture and for those two players specifically to get some motivation, get a little angry, get a little emotional, and show out for the rest of the season. Prove to the NBA we weren't a fluke. Prove that these guys are great players. Prove that, if anything, they deserve to be there, and if not, who cares, because we're still coming. We're still coming for it. So I think it's motivation. It's better. I think in the long run, it's better. Our players won't play in the game. I'm hoping, honestly, Bam can defend his skills challenge, but honestly, I just want these guys to take a break. Bam might not even play tonight. Tonight we play the Jazz, and he might not even be there because he's dealing with tendinosis in the knee, which I wouldn't get too crazy or worried about it, guys. If anything, it's just he's playing so much center that he just needs to take a break. Like, if any, they probably just said that, and it's probably just him having a sore knee or something, and they just want him to take a break. So if he doesn't play tonight, cool. We need him to beat the Jazz. I don't think we'll beat the Jazz tonight without Bam, but in the long run, it doesn't matter. Are the Jazz going to be in the finals? I don't think so. So I don't really care. I think the Jazz are unproven, and some team in the West, one of the LA teams or Denver team, will beat them. So I'm not even worried about it, honestly. So don't be worried about Bam's injury. We're almost full squad. It's looking good. Finally, Goran came back against the Raptors on Wednesday. That was awesome to see. And that was a great game also, just because the Heat showed they can be a playoff team. They fought back from losing leads. They held leads. They did what they had to do in the end. They played tremendous defense. That's one thing. Since the last time we talked last Friday, the Heat have been one of the best defenses in the NBA. That's it, straight up. They're one of the best. And I love it. I mean, we're getting back to our identity. We're getting back to our culture. Everyone is starting to be on the same page, and it's looking really good on that side. Offensively, we still have our problems. Gordon kind of helped that. We're missing Tyler still. Kendrick Nunn has been on fire. That's great to see. He's just fulfilling his potential. And honestly, I also noticed in that game against the Raptors, Kendrick Nunn's playmaking last year, it was horrendous. It was terrible how many turnovers and how indecisive he was, and he couldn't really make plays. He's actually being really patient, seeing the game slow, making the right passes, taking the right shots. I am impressed. I am very impressed. So, Kendrick Nunn, you've been doing a great job, brother. Keep it up, please. And I think that starting role is his to lose, unless for some reason we trade him. I think it's his to lose. I think that he preferred Goran to come off the bench, play around 25 to 27 minutes a game. Don't overwork him. When Tyler comes back, Tyler Hero can take some of those minutes from Gabe Vincent, since Gabe Vincent's been playing. And we'll take it from there. We'll see. But that leads me to what we talked about last week, where I was like, we need a trade, we need to do something. And now a week's passed. We won against the Lakers, against the Thunder, against the Raptors. We're on a 4-game winning streak. Do we still need a trade? And I think a lot of people still want a trade, like a tweak or something. But for me, it's not about making the team better. It's really about financing and finances. Like, Yes, restricted free agent is Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn, but they could be playing themselves out of our range, especially if you want to sign someone big this summer. And do we see anybody really big this summer being available? No, honestly, I don't. It's becoming that thing where it's gonna have to become a trade availability, and then they're gonna have to want to come to Miami, and then that team's gonna have to want to work with us, and blah 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 blah. And that's not always easy. It's not easy as Jimmy Butler, and that wasn't even easy because that trade almost fell through. We had to find another trade partner. Hassan Whiteside went, and we lost Josh Richardson, who we can all make an argument that Josh Richardson on this Heat team will be much needed and much appreciated. And who God only knows what we'll be looking like right now if we had Josh Richardson in this squad. Just saying. So when I think about finances, look, Duncan is Duncan. He's been playing a little bit better too. He's been cutting. He's been making layups. He hasn't really taken mid ranges, but he's doing a little bit of different stuff other than just the same routine over and over again, which is great to see. But still, I mean, is that guy worth 15 to 18 mil on a team that we need? We need to address other things. Don't get me wrong, his shooting is elite. He is a great, great shooter. And I mean, he has helped our offense in many, many ways. But that skill is also in other players. Maybe not at that extent, as great as he is. But I think those responsibilities that he carries can be given to other players. And maybe other players that probably have something else in them. Maybe they can rebound a little bit better. Maybe they play a little bit better defense. Maybe they're a little bit better at cutting. I don't know. But that's what I think about. And so for me, Duncan, and then also Kendrick Nunn, who, if he keeps this up, he might be playing himself into a pretty good contract from a lower end team. A Cleveland, a Chicago, a Pelicans. The Pelicans really want to have a playmaker because Eric Bledsoe sucks. You never know. Maybe the Thunder, one of those teams that are in the bottom of the barrel and can use a little bit more help. Maybe Washington Wizards. I'm just saying, guys that might have money and wouldn't mind giving Kendrick Nunn a bigger deal. And I'm not thinking 20 million. I'm thinking around 12 million, maybe 15. If they really think he can be a really good scorer / playmaker for them, I can see that happen. And then the Heat will be on the other end having to decide, do we match this contract or do we let him walk so we can get some more help or we can sign another player? And that's what I get worried about, guys. If we really want to grow this thing, I don't know. Right? Again, I don't think there's any big names that we can trade for this trade deadline. So, yes, we're in 10th place now. And if you hear some footsteps walking around right now, it's a dog. It's my dog, Lucy, running around thinking she's time for the play. But it's not. But, we're right there still. We're basically a game away from the 4th spot. 4th spot is Indiana Pacers at 15-15. We're at 15-17 at 10th place of the East. This is crazy. And between 4th and 11th place, it's only a 2-game difference, if that. Half a game, most of the time. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of trades, a lot of things. I think if anything, teams, and this is where I want to head to, teams with restricted free agents that don't have plans for them in the future are going to be trying to sell these guys off. Now, that includes John Collins. But I want to put some other names in there, your guys' name. And then Lonzo Ball. Everyone knows about Lonzo Ball's thing. Lonzo Ball, John Collins, Lauri Markkanen from Chicago, and Frank Ntilikina from the Knicks. And I want to mention these guys, and I think these guys will be great trade targets to see if we can make something work and be happy for both teams. Because if we get those guys, we keep their bird rights, they're restricted free agents still, and we can sign them to deals over the cap, and we can still use money to get other outside help. And that's the argument where not the argument, that's the discussion that we need to have is it worth it to make a trade for a John Collins, for a Lauri Markkanen, who those two guys can fill that 4 or 5 spot that can shoot, maybe be better, be a good rebounder. John Collins is a really is a good rebounder. Lauri Markkanen's a good rebounder. These both guys are not great on defense, but they rebound and they can shoot and put a little bit of pressure off of Bam, which we all been wanting, right? So that's intriguing to me. Like, yes, there's reports coming out that John Collins is most likely going to sign with the Heat or Dallas. We're all poised to give an offer sheet. But again, Atlanta could change their mind and be like, no, we're going to keep John Collins. We'll match him. You know, a lot of things can happen. Dallas could come out of nowhere if they trade, Porzingis this trade deadline. They trade him because they want to prepare for John Collins. They could do that. Maybe that happens, and then they giving John Collins a huge max deal just to steal him away from Atlanta. That could happen, or from us. So I can see that, and I don't think John Collins is a super max guy or anything, but he's gonna get paid like that or close to it because of the market being drained. Lauri Markkanen is another one, but I think he come on the cheaper end. I don't think he will be so expensive to have, just because he's been putting solid numbers. Right now he's averaging like 18 and 8, but it hasn't really translated to winning. So there's that kind of factor into it, and then like he's not as athletic as John Collins, whatever it is, and then the upside or whatever. But so wasn't Nowinski. The European guys, I don't judge like American guys. That's just me. I don't judge them the same. They're just two different breeds. But that's a question to ask ourselves. Like, is one of these guys, a need, like, or better to get now so he can get used to the system, we can acclimate him, and then we make a really big run? I think that would be good. And then now in reverse, talking about Lonzo Ball and Frank Ntilikina, which those two guys will fill that extra playmaker, really good at defense. Lonzo Ball, guys, for as much hate as he gets on the offensive end, the guy can play defense. He's very good defensively, and I think he's a really good point guard, playmaking wise. He can set up people, and he's been having a good time right now, shooting the ball well. He's shooting really well. He's really gelling with that Pelicans team, but the Pelicans don't really have him in the plans for the future. So if we can get him, hey, do I think he could be more valuable to us, to our system, than a Kendrick Nunn? Honestly, because we have Goran Dragic and Tyler Hero, when they're both healthy, I think yes. I think Lonzo Ball could be a much appreciated help where he's not going to want the ball, or his main skill isn't about scoring the ball. It's about playing defense, about getting people open, and about hitting your shots when you get the ball, when you're available. That's stuff that we need. Same with Frank Ntilikina. The guy has had the worst luck in New York, but he can play defense really well. If you look up his numbers, he's a great defensive player, and he's getting a little bit better in shooting and offensive. But the thing is, again, guys, we're not counting on these guys to like come in here and be 20-point scorers. We're asking to solidify the back end for us and make sure we're safe, especially with injuries. If Avery Bradley stays out, these guys can make up for that Avery Bradley thing that we were hoping to get. So I like it. Another thing with Lonzo Ball and Frank Ntilikina, I think they're going to be cheaper to keep. I don't think they're not going to be asking for 20 mil. We can get them for like a $15 million contract. Maybe Frank Ntilikina even less than that, 10, 9, and he'd be more than happy to accept that. And then Lonzo maybe between 10 and 15. I think he understands that he's not like the greatest thing that ever happened yet, or he hasn't been putting the greatest numbers in his career yet. So he could maybe take like a 2 to 3 year, contract just to help build it, and then see what happens in a couple of years. And we get to keep him and sign somebody else because he'll be a restricted free agent. He'll have his bird rights, and it all makes sense. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, if we do this, what are we sacrificing? We're probably sacrificing, honestly, I don't think we're sacrificing much. Like, you have to really ask yourself, the team we have now, can they make it to the finals? And if yes, can they win the finals? You gotta really ask yourself this. And yes, I'm one of the believers that with Bam and a healthy Goran Dragic, yes, we would have beat the Lakers. I completely agree. We would have won in 6 games, 100%, no lie. But the Lakers have retooled and repowered, so they're 100% healthy. Boom, LA is retooled and repowered, and they might be a player in the trade deadline. So we gotta watch out for them. Nuggets, I still think, are pretty good, especially because we don't really have a Jokic stopper. And then, there's a couple other players out there in the West. And in the East, I'm only really worried about is the Nets, because that talent level is really hard to get through. As we've noticed in Miami when we had the big three, it was hard for any other East team to get through us. Even if they were a better team, we had the better talent to carry us through the bad moments and to make us champions. And that's what I'm saying. That's that X factor. So if we do go to the finals and maybe win it this year, I'm completely chalking it up to good luck. It has to be 100% good luck. Like, the Nets are without Kevin Durant or Kyrie because of injury or something, and we were able to pass them. And I'm not worried about Giannis. I'm not worried about anything. And then when it comes out to the finals, to the West, if we play the Lakers, maybe LeBron's hurt, maybe AD's hurt, maybe Dennis Schroeder's hurt. If not, if it's the Clippers, maybe PG or Kawhi's hurt. If it's, the Nuggets, maybe Jokic is hurt, maybe one of their big role players is hurt, maybe Jamal Murray's hurt. So we'll have to hope for that to, I think, for me personally thinking like this, for our squad to become champions this year. So that's a lot of things that have to go right, a lot of things went right for us in the bubble. But again, I think we were made for the bubble. Not every team was made for the bubble. We took advantage of it. It was more us playing great basketball at the right time than anything. Where this, who knows, even COVID could be a thing, right? I know there's talks that they might do a bubble playoff, but you never know. All this stuff can happen. Injuries can happen. So I don't know, guys. I'm really, really on the board of just making a trade for the future now. And that will still keep us competitive. And I don't think it's going to be a trade that takes us over the top and puts us in a solidifying, contending, area. But it keeps us competitive, and it lets us add more in the future and not have to depend on the same core over and over again. Look, guys, I honestly don't want to go through the whole 2016 to 2019 thing where we had the same core of Dion and James Johnson and Goran and Kelly and Josh and Justice, and we were hoping internally they will grow and Justice will be this and Josh Richardson will be this and James Johnson will be that and Dion is that, and they're all going to get better together, and Hassan Whiteside's going to be this, and we're going to be so good. Guys, I think we saw how that turned out, and it's not the best. It's not great. It's not the greatest thing that ever happened to us. We barely made the playoffs one year. We didn't make the playoffs more years than anything. And, they were fun to watch. They were entertaining as hell, of course, and it was great to be part of something that's been organically growing. But guys, sometimes you got to wake up and be like, sometimes you need a shake up. You need to cut some things and go. And I think that's what we need right now. I think we just got to solidify and make sure we're in the best position to take advantage of free agency next year or the trade market next year. We can if we trade for one of these guys, we don't have to sign them immediately. We could be like, hey, look, let's agree to this, but we're going to sign it, mid-July, whatever the case may be. I don't know how the dates are going to work out. It might be mid-August or September or something like that. But, we'll agree on day one of free agency, but we won't sign it to them because we're going to be trying to sign other free agents that can come help us, or possibly make a trade with that cap room so then we can absorb a contract or something, and then we can still sign you because you're a restricted free agent and we have the bird rights. And I think that sounds really good to me. Like if we had John Collins, I know his defense scares me, but hey, he's a South Florida guy. He loves the Heat, and we can probably groom him into being a pretty good defender just because he has the athletic tools to be one. Lower marketing, hey, you know what? Honestly, he might be that cool cat that just ends up being good. Ends up working out for us. I think he's a pretty good rebounder. I honestly do think so, and I think he's a pretty good offensive player. And when he's on fire and he's on board. The ones, like Lonzo and Frank Ntilikina, I like just because I don't think they're going to be expensive. And I think they're really going to help us fill a need in the guard spot where we don't have to rely on an Avery Bradley who's looking like he's probably injury prone at this point in his career. We can get a young, unproven player to come in here and and shake things up. Come in here and make these guys work a little more. Like show them up, and have to like re-communicate and re-engage with each other and relearn everything. And I think that will just bring the core and the team closer together. And that's something I really want to watch. I think, and I'm just, I guess I'm a futurist in that too. Like I just want to prepare ourselves. I think we're still going to be competitive. When I look at the rosters of everyone in the East, the only two teams that worry me more because of a matchup thing is the Sixers and the Nets. But I do think we could beat the Sixers just because I think we'll have the intangibles, and Ben Simmons is very limited. That we'll figure out a way to beat them. It's Brooklyn that I'm really, really worried about. Milwaukee, we already know how to beat them. Indiana will beat them. Toronto will beat them. The Knicks will beat them. The Bulls will beat them. The Hornets will beat them. The Celtics will beat them. Atlanta Hawks will beat them. Whoever else you want to name will beat them. So yes, with this current roster, we'll make the Eastern Conference Finals, more likely. We should. In my eyes, we should make the Eastern Conference Finals this year, no matter what, with no tweaks or not. But just thinking ahead, I think we make a trade for a restricted free agent, we still have a good chance of making the Eastern Conference Finals. And but even more importantly, we're in a better position to make next season even better and even more interesting, and even have a higher ceiling because we'll have, to my eyes, more talent. Who do we trade? Like I said, guys, it's probably going to be Duncan. It's a combination of Duncan or Kendrick, maybe both, something like that. If I had to choose, it's Kendrick more than Duncan. But when I think about Duncan, I still think he might be too expensive to really spend that money on, when I feel like we might be able to find what he does in other players and still be very good, and he could just be a product of our system, which a big part of me thinks so. I mean, I understand if you guys have a lot of love for Duncan. We've seen him grow. He came from D3 basketball, earned his way into Michigan, earned his way into the NBA, and has been killing it. But hey, great story. It's all good. I love it. But great stories like that usually don't win championships. Just saying, they're just great stories. We'll see. And now let's talk briefly about before we talk about that, let me know, guys, know what you think. If you guys think going after a restricted free agent that's primed to be a restricted free agent this summer, if that's a better idea than swinging for the fences, even though there's no trades, or making a tweak, or just not making a tweak at all and just writing it out and then seeing what happens in the summer. Let me know what you guys think. I'm interested, really. And if you can, let me know who, what, or where, you're moving, who's coming, who's going, all that stuff. I love getting the conversations like that and just messing around with each other and just going back and forth and trying to figure out what's the best scenario. Because sometimes that way you figure out something like, oh, dang, that guy and that guy may be available and we trade this guy and that guy or whatever. And you never know. It's probably a bigger, potential there for championship. All right. So, but what most likely is going to happen, guys, is a buyout. It's going to be a crazy buyout season, I think. I think a lot of older players are on whatever teams, like George Hill, Trevor Ariza, the Andre Drummond, the Blake Griffins. I think there's going to be more than we know about that are even being mentioned right now. That are going to be like, their team is going to be like, hey, just go. We're going to develop our young players, try to go join a contender and make a run for it. I think that's where the Heat more likely to do a move this year. And I'm going to quickly just say Andre Drummond, no. Blake Griffin, maybe. DeMarcus Cousins, maybe. Why not? Take a flyer. He can do Myers Leonard things like the same way Myers Leonard was doing last season. George Hill, maybe if we end up trading, Kendrick Nunn or something for one of those restricted free agents, and maybe George Hill becomes available, he can help cover that spot for us. Not a bad idea. And I honestly, I'm not excited about the buyout people, because buyout people don't usually work out anyways, except for Joe Johnson, but that didn't work out in the playoffs, so who cares about that, right? But we'll see. And guys, don't get me wrong, like, if the Heat don't make a move, I don't care. Cool, let's run this. I still, like I said, I think some luck, our continued hard work, our continuing to focus on defense, our continuing and developing and getting better on offense and making new moves and new schemes and better cuts is going to be good to watch. The East is not that strong. I think we can definitely make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and be competitive and make it a way back to the finals. You never know. Things can work out our way. And hey, we end up being champions. It's all good, right? But I like to prepare myself for the future. I always look ahead myself, and I like to think, okay, do I want future Michael to worry about this? Future MA? Now you know my name is Michael, if you didn't know. Do I want future MA to worry about this? Or do we take care of this? So then when we're in a better position, most likely in the summer, to make moves and to be better prepared to make a run at it. That's just me, right? All right, guys. We'll see what happens tonight. We're gonna be playing the Jazz, and that game's gonna be at, what time is that game at? Shiitake mushrooms, 8 o'clock. So watch it, Fox Sports. The rest of the schedule came out. We have a lot of back-to-backs coming up. That might hurt us, but luckily we have the second easiest schedule amongst all the NBA teams in the second half because we play more lower bottom teams than higher seeded teams. So like we're playing Orlando more, we're playing Cleveland's more, we're playing maybe not. We're playing Minnesota more. We're playing San Antonio. I don't know. We'll see. I think we got a pretty good. We played Chicago a couple of times, Minnesota, Boston's. Yeah, actually, we have played Detroit one more time. We look good. We look like we might have a really good road ahead of us. Just a lot of back-to-backs. Hopefully, we stay healthy, COVID-free, continue to get better, and bam. Like bam, bam. All right, guys. I think that's it for me. If you guys have any question about anything else, doesn't have to pertain to this topic that we've been talking about today, let me know. Hit me up on the comments. If anything, you can leave a message on Facebook for me at Heat Blogspot or Twitter at Heat Blogspot. If you don't like any of those things, email me, heatblogspot@gmail.com. That's cool too. And I'll get back to you guys and answer. It's all good. Or maybe I'll answer to the next video. And like I said, previous video, I think is going to be coming for the next foreseeable future. I'll be doing once a week shows, and we'll see how that goes for a while. But I think that's better that way. Most likely between Wednesday and Friday of each week, I'll come out with a new episode, and we'll enjoy each other's company. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. Again, you guys have a great weekend. Root for the Heat. Let's go. We're on the up and up. We're going to fight for home court advantage. We're still going to be really good no matter what the Heat do or don't do. So it's all good. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you guys are all good. Be good to each other. Peace, deuces. I'm out. Bye.